Let's start working on our bear. Take your white color yarn and chain 5. One, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single crochet in the next 3 chains. One, 2, and 3. 3 single crochet into the last chain. So in here I have 3 of them. 1, 2, and 3. And then work on the opposite side of the foundation chain and single crochet into the next two chains. So in here I have 1 and 2, and into the last chain we have an increase, so 2 single crochets into the same stitch. That's an increase. 1 and 2 into the same stitch. This is our first row, and we should have 10 stitches. So if you count them, there should be 10. On second row, and here we start using our stitch marker, we start with an increase. I place my stitch marker. I make 2 single crochet into the same stitch to have an increase. So this is my increase. We continue with 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches. We will have an increase in the next 3 stitches. This is my first increase. My second increase. And my third increase. 2 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, increase in the next 2 stitches, and we finish the row. So we have our first increase and our second increase. By the end of second row you will have 16 stitches. So if you want to double check, just count your stitches, they have to be 16. On third row we have 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and we place our stitch marker, an increase into the second stitch, so 2 single crochets into the same stitch to have an increase, 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches, one single crochet increase into, and we repeat that 3 times. So we have 1 single crochet into the next stitch and then increase into the other, and we have to do this 2 more times. So 1 single crochet into this stitch and an increase into the next one, and 1 more time, 1 single crochet and an increase into the next stitch. Two single crochets in the next 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet, 2 single crochets, and then again we have 1 single crochet increase and repeat that 2 times. 1 single crochet, increase into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, increase into the next stitch. By the end of 3rd row, you will have 22 stitches. Let's go further and single crochet for the next 2 rows into 22 stitches. So let me place my marker into my first single crochet, and now I should crochet 2 rows with 22 stitches. When finishing 4th and 5th row, you will have 22 stitches. We start row 6 with a decrease. I go into the front loops only of the next 2 stitches, grab the yarn, the working yarn, and pull it through, and then grab the yarn and pull it through the 2 stitches that I have on my hook, and place my stitch marker. 2 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and I have to repeat that 3 times. So again, a decrease, two single crochets into the next 2 stitches, and 1 more decrease, and 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches. Next, have 10 single crochets into the next 10 stitches. By the end of 6th row, you will have 19 stitches. Before finishing the last single crochet, so the one I just finished, we change color to our body color yarn. In my case, It's this color yarn that I'm using. So before finishing this single crochet, I will change my color. So I keep these two loops on my hook, and then instead of grabbing the white yarn, I will grab the body color yarn. Okay, go like this. Row 7 is the first row worked with body color yarn, and we have one single crochet into the first stitch, let me pull these yarns a little bit so I don't have it too loose. Into the next stitch we have an increase, so 2 single crochets into this stitch to have the increase. Repeat that 9 times. So 1 single crochet into this stitch, an increase into the next one for 9 times. Let me cut the yarn tail. I've made 1 single crochet, and now I will have an increase. So 2 single crochets into this one. And again, 1 single crochet and an increase. One single crochet, increase, and I repeat that till the end of the row. We finish the row with 1 more single crochet. Increase, and the last stitch would be 1 single crochet. By the end of 7th row you will have 28 stitches. We start row 8 with an increase and 2 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Now I will place my stitch marker into the first single crochet. As I said, we start with an increase, so 2 single crochets into the same stitch, and then 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Repeat that 4 times. So this is my first one. I have to do this 3 more times. Increase, two single crochets, increase, two single crochets, and my last one will be an increase, and then 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches. Into the next 16 stitches we have 16 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. By the end of 8th row, you will have 32 stitches. On row 9, we start with an increase into the first stitch. I place my stitch marker into the first single crochet, and I make another one into the same stitch to have an increase. So we start with an increase into the first stitch and 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Repeat that 4 times. So we've made it once, we need to make it 3 more times. So an increase, three single crochets into the next 3 stitches, increase, three single crochets into the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, and 3, increase, and 3 single crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and 3. Into the next 16 stitches we have 16 single crochets. So in here, 1, 2, and 16. By the end of 9th row you will have 36 stitches. On row 10 we start with an increase as well into the first stitch and 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches, and we repeat that 4 times. So let's start with an increase, into the first stitch and 4 single crochets, I'm sorry about that, and 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we have to do this 3 more times. So an increase, 4 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, again an increase, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we have to do it 1 more time. an increase, and 4 stitches into the next 4 single crochets, 1 2 3 4 into the next 4 stitches. Into the next 16 stitches we have 16 single crochets, by the end of 10th row you will have 40 stitches. On row 11 we start with an increase as well into the first stitch and 5 single crochets into the next 5 stitches. Repeat that 4 times. Let's start with an increase. I place my stitch marker. This is my increase, and into the next 5 stitches I will have 5 single crochets. 1 2 3 4 5. I have to do this 3 more times. An increase and 5 single crochets. 1 2 3 4 5. Again an increase, one, 2 3 4 5, and the last increase on this row. Five single crochet into the next 5 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5. Into the next 16 stitches we have 16 single crochets. By the end of 11th row, you will have 44 stitches. Single crochet for the next 5 rows into 44 stitches. I just finished row 12, so my first round of single crochets, of 44 single crochets. I need to do this for 4 more rounds. So I'll meet you back here after finishing row 16. I have finished my 16th row with 44 stitches. I can go now on my 17th row. On the next row, so the 17th, we will have our decreases on the sides of the head, so over here. Start row 17 with a decrease. I go into the first 2 front stitches, front loops actually, and have my decrease. Continue with 24 single crochets into the next 24 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 24. This is my 24. The next one will be a decrease. It's important to have them on the sides of the head. It's not really important to have it, I don't know, after the 24th single crochet, but it's important to have it on the sides. This is a decrease. 16 single crochet into the next 16 stitches. By the end of row 17, you will have 42 stitches. On row 18, we start with a decrease and 5 single crochets into the next 5 stitches, and we repeat that 6 times. So a decrease, I go into the front loops of the next 2 stitches and have my decrease, place my stitch marker, and 5 single crochets into the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, we do this again, a decrease, and 5 stitches, 5 single crochets, sorry, to the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we do this 4 more times. By the end of row 18, you will have 36 stitches. On row 19, we will use bubble stitch for the ears so that we don't have to sew them on later. Start with a decrease. I place my stitch marker. 3 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Have a bubble stitch made out of 8 half double crochets into the next stitch, and this will be our left ear. This is how we do the bubble stitch. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull the yarn, pull it through 2 loops, yarn over, go into the next stitch, pull it through the next 2 loops. Now we have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull it like this, and now we have 4. We have 5. Six. Go into the same stitch. We have 7. We have 8. Now that we have 8, we can pull the yarn through all of these loops, yarn over and pull it through all of them. And this is the bubble stitch that we use to have our ear. The next one will be a decrease. So I go into the front loops only of the next 2 stitches and pull the yarn. I pull it a little bit more, so I push my bubble stitch like this to have the ear the way I want it. Then I pull this yarn to make it tighter and pull the yarn to finish the decrease and have my first ear. Next, we will have 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. A decrease. Three single crochets into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. Again, we have a bubble stitch made out of 8 half double crochets into the next stitch. So we pull the yarn over, go into the next stitch, and we pull the yarn to the first 2 stitches. Now we have 2 loops on our hook. We pull the yarn, we yarn over, we pull the yarn through 2 stitches, and now we have 3 loops. And we do this till we have 8 on our hook. Into the same stitch. Now we have 4. 5 loops. 6 loops. 7, and we do one more. It's a little bit tight in here, I know, but we want to be able to see the ear. So we should have 8. Now we can yarn over and pull through all the loops on our hook. Decrease. I leave it a little bit longer so I can push my bubble stitch like this. Now I make it tighter and then pull the yarn to both loops on my hook, and we finished with the bubble stitch and the decrease like this. These are the ears. I like to use the bubble stitch so I don't have to sew them on later, because for me bubble stitch is an easy stitch. I hope you will consider it easy after you practice it a couple of times. We have 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have to repeat that 3 times. We will decrease again and have 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we need to do this one more time. Decrease, one, 2, 3, 4. By the end of 19th row, you will have 30 stitches. This row should have been a decrease, 4 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and repeat that 6 times. So a decrease and 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches, and do that 6 times. It looks a little bit more complicated because we've incorporated 2 bubble stitches for the ears. That's why the row looks more complicated. So if we wouldn't have made the bubble stitches for the ears, the row would have been simply a decrease and 4 single crochets into the next 4 stitches, and repeat that 6 times. But I prefer to do them like this. Now, if using safety nose, insert it on between row 3 and 4 in the middle of the muzzle. So this is my first one, second, third, 4, 3 and 4 over here, somewhere over here. And if using safety eyes, insert them on between row 7 and 8. So this is my 7th row and my 8, leaving 3 stitches in between them. So over here. I will do my bear with safety nose and eyes, so I can show you how to place them. You can stuff your head a little bit to make sure you have the right measurements, if I'm saying it right. Okay. Something like this. On row 20, we start with a decrease and 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. Repeat that 6 times. My first decrease, I place my stitch marker and then 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and the third one will be this from the bubble stitch, and a decrease again. We do this 5 more times. So decrease and 3 stitches, 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, decrease, 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. 1, 2. The third one will be this from the bubble stitch. Decrease. 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Decrease. By the end of row 20th, you will have 24 stitches. On row 21st, we start with a decrease and 2 single crochets into the next 2 stitches. A decrease and now 2 single crochets. 1, 2, and we repeat this 5 more times. Decrease, two single crochets, decrease, 1, 2, decrease, 1, 2, again decrease. By the end of row 21st, you will have 18 stitches. Now you can stuff your head a little bit more. On row 22nd, we start with a decrease and 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Repeat that 6 times. I place my stitch marker into the first decrease, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and I repeat this till the end of the row. Decrease, by the end of row 22nd, you will have 12 stitches. On the last row of the head, row 23rd, we have 6 decreases. Make sure you stuffed your head the way you want it. So let's decrease 6 times. One, two, three, four, And one more. By the end of the row you should have 6 stitches. Fasten off, leaving a small tail. Grab a needle and weave in the yarn tail in front loops of the remaining 6 stitches so that we can close the hole. So front loops, 1, 2, 6. I pull the yarn and I hide the yarn tail. So this is it. We still need to make some face embroidery, but the main part of the head is ready. These are the ears made from bubble stitches.